I'd like to express my sincere respect to the Buddha, the one who knows and sees that which should be known and should be understood, and to that Dhamma that he taught, the Dhamma that we should all realize, and to the noble Sangha who have practiced accordingly and realized that Dhamma. And my appreciation and respect to the whole Sangha here, especially Luang Kalyano, for inviting me to teach today, and then finally to extend my blessings to all of the lay people who have come together to practice for the sake of developing good qualities and ultimately to develop mindfulness and wisdom. And so our objective is to practice and realize the Dhamma of the Buddha. That's our path of practice. And so we take that up as a shared activity and a shared goal. It's our way of sending off the old year, 2024, and welcoming the new one, 2025. It's a way of making a good start and becoming firmly established in that Dhamma. Because the Dhamma of the Buddha is that rarest thing which gives us the best opportunity. And it's a good fortune that we already have to be born as a human and to hear the Dhamma and understand it at least to some level. And then further, to have the faith to come and practice that Dhamma and have access to a place like this, which is a wonderfully supportive place provided by Luang Kalyano. And so we come here to make merit and to develop ourselves in that Dhamma. It begins by just listening to the Dhamma, but then we need to take that teaching and practice it sincerely. Because if we only hear the teaching, then that doesn't yet lead to the greatest benefit. Actually, hearing the teaching makes us realize for ourselves what our own job is to do. And our task in the practice for each of us is to purify our own heart and rid it of its wrong understanding, wrong view. It's wrong understanding that causes it to go into wrong ways, following kilesa, tanha, defilement and craving. We only follow these wrong things because we can't yet tell the difference between right and wrong. And so therefore we carry on behaving habitually as we have since we were brought into this world and since we were raised and taught by our parents and our teachers. If we're fortunate, we've been taught from a young age to avoid evil ways, such as killing, stealing, and each of the wrong ways of breaking the 5 precepts. If we've been taught just that much, then we're already fortunate. But even with that as a basis, we still need to take that crucial next step, which is the heart of the Buddhist practice, and that is to give away the causes of harm and pain and suffering. And that is the slow work of purifying our own heart. And there's 3 parts to that. There's dana, or generosity, and there's sila, morality, and bhavana is the mental cultivation. Generosity is not just giving material things, but we're working to destroy a sense of stinginess, the sense of clinging and grasping. And then sila, morality, we're giving away another cause of suffering. We're giving away those actions of body and speech which are a cause for our own suffering and the suffering of other beings. Therefore, we take up standards for our conduct and we maintain those standards. And then bhavana is talking about the cultivation of the heart. We practice samadhi, we train in devoting our attention to a meditation object, maybe to know the in-breath and the out-breath. But there are many more techniques which the Buddha taught. Essentially, the Buddha taught techniques to use for cultivation, which will help us to overcome those wrong states of mind and habits of mind, or those harmful aspects of our character. If we're leaning too far into lust, for example, then he taught ways of practicing to see the unbeautiful, and that's called asubha kammatthana, to rid oneself of the delusion of beauty and attractiveness, and to see the body as unattractive. If, however, we've got a mind that's prone to distraction and all kinds of distracted thinking, we might use a more simple object like a kasina, a simple colour or a disc of colour which one imagines in one's mind and looks at with one's eyes closed until it's there all the time as an object to focus one's mind on, and one can see it all the time, whether one's eyes are open or closed. There are many different techniques we use to train the mind, but they're all aimed towards making the heart peaceful. When the heart is peaceful, then we can see the mind objects as they arise, instead of simply becoming and simply thinking, but we see the thoughts and we're separate from the thoughts. And we don't even see them as our thoughts, but we see them clearly and we understand them. No matter whether those are good and wholesome thoughts or bad, unwholesome thoughts, they're still simply arising mental objects that we can see and know as not belonging to ourselves. And thereby we have the ability to choose which we will act upon and which we will not act upon. And we can give up our bad traits, such as anger. If one's prone to anger, then those hot and very disturbed, upset states of mind can arise very quickly in indicating a sense of ill will and cruelty towards another being. These are the kinds of dangerous thoughts and feelings that when we see them, we're warned, we see the danger, and we don't act on them. If one doesn't practice meditation, then one doesn't understand what's happening in one's own mind. Just simple training that one has to do in order to make one's mind strong, just like the way we exercise the body. We are gradually, continually cleansing the mind of all of its delusion and wrong view. Actually, we're not doing anything complex. We're simply educating our heart and bringing it back to a state of normality. By practicing and purifying our heart, we'll become just a normal person, a complete person, and our actions of body, speech and mind will be correct. A retreat like this is an opportunity to really fine-tune, pay attention to all of one's actions of body and everything that one says, and even the thoughts that come up in one's mind. One learns to be mindful, and one can see it as a training for when the retreat finishes and one leaves the monastery and goes back outside. Then we need to take with us the knowledge that we've learned. At the very least, then, we've learnt that we're not perfect, and we learnt that various unwholesome states and unskillful states can arise in our mind. We know we're not yet perfect, But if we can see and recognize those things, then we're already starting to become less fooled by them and less deluded by them. So this is, therefore, the most useful practice, the most beneficial thing we can apply ourselves to with all the time and effort that we have. Through doing this practice, it will lead to a contented sense of peace for ourselves, but not just for ourselves, but for all our friends and relatives and our society. All the people around us will be happier when we learn the true and correct way to happiness. Because already, all of us care about those that are close to us, but we don't necessarily know how to help them. And we learn how to help others by learning how to help ourselves. Once we've practiced dana to the utmost and become someone who's generous, then we're automatically a teacher to others. We lead by example, and they learn also that it's good to be generous. But of a greater benefit, when we can make our hearts peaceful and we develop peacefulness, then that's something that also is shared with other people as well. At least those who can recognize true happiness and peace when they see it. When one knows it for oneself, then one can see it for oneself. It's the truest benefit of the Buddhist religion. And it's really the ultimate benefit of all the merit that we make, is that it will lead us to peacefulness. That's the greatest benefit for the whole world. So what you learn here in the retreat are actually life lessons that you will live for the rest of your life. And it's a way of working towards the true objective of human life, which is to realize freedom from suffering and to lead others along the path to the end of suffering. This is all good, but it doesn't happen overnight. It can only happen over a long period of time. It's a long, gradual training. It's a slow and gradual cleansing. We have to remain focused, and we have to keep the ideal of peacefulness in mind. So this time, right now, is exclusively devoted to training. It's a time for putting in effort. You can't just experience the results immediately, but you can put in all the right causes. And that cause is simply to establish mindfulness. When you establish mindfulness, you're already cleansing the heart. And again, that takes time, but none of that time is wasted. Of all the good things that you do here, be sure to share the merit with other beings. Because you'll find that there are obstacles in your practice. The reason is because you've done things in the past that are not skillful. You've done things which are harmful to yourself and others. And so all of these memories and feelings and states of body and mind will arise when you're trying to experience peace. So you have to suffer because there isn't peace. But whatever effort you put forward, keep sharing that merit so that you're undoing all the bad causes that you've done in the past. And this is why we establish ourselves well in a very wide range of practice, not only sitting meditation, but also reflecting on the Dhamma, reciting the Dhamma when we're chanting. We're developing a sense of goodwill to all beings and offering forgiveness to any of those that harm us, knowing that we've been guilty of harming others in the past. By becoming free of ill will and cruelty, then we give the greatest offering to all, and that is the offering of safety. All we have to offer to others is that which is wholesome and that which is good. So we learn to live in harmony, beneficial towards one another, helping one another. Again, it takes time to build this sense of goodness and purity and harmony. Luang Chah said, just first of all, stop doing that which you know is wrong. give up doing the causes for suffering, and then gradually develop goodness in all kinds of ways. But at the very least, you should know that you're not doing wrong things. You're not creating new causes for suffering for yourself and others. Then you come to relying on the Buddha's teachings to develop goodness in various ways. We don't simply practice goodness in the coarse and simple ways, like through generosity and keeping precepts, but we carry that practice into the higher level with the practice of samadhi. We're teaching the mind new habits, because the mind, when we sit, it might be full of all kinds of proliferation. That's because of our bad habits in the past. Maybe we can't stop those disturbances at first, but we can endure them, and we can see the suffering, learn from the suffering, understand the cause of suffering, and thereby give up the cause of suffering. And keep on sitting, keep on practicing, so you can experience peace. You'll understand that bad actions lead to bad results, and you'll be completely reluctant to do those things again. But you'll understand them as wrong, and you simply won't consider doing them. When one understands cause and effect, then one's choices in life become much more simple. And once we have given up those wrong ways, then the good Dhamma that we practice is more and more able to bear the fruit and give us the good benefit. My time is short today. I'm can only speak for half an hour because we'll need a little time for a translation afterwards. So I'm going to ask to stop the teaching here. But finally, I would like to extend the power of the Triple Gem as a blessing to all of you, together with the power of the practice of all of the Kubajans. May all of that merit that's gone in the past help and support you in your practice in the present, so that in the future you may see the Dhamma and realize the Dhamma, all of you.